Welcome back to another episode of the Sabre Roundtable. My name is Jonah.
And I'm Christian.
And I just got to say right off the bat, it feels good to be back down to 2.
Breath of fresh air in the studio today.
That's right. JP, for anybody that has listened to our last few episodes, he is on a leave of absence of sorts. He's hitting the books for the big CPA exam that he's got coming up. So he'll be off the air for a little bit.
But of course, we wish him well.
Of course.
We wish him
well. Of course. But we will enjoy this time separated.
Absolutely.
It's a bit
we need this.
We need this for the podcast. We need this. For anybody who's been around since, probably this time last year, this is how it started out.
Yeah. We were in a different place, though. We were recording out of UB's recording studio, and we jumped around to a couple of places in between. My apartment and there were Aaron's residence.
That's right.
Yeah, it does kind of feel interesting going back down to 2. The dynamics, it's more of a back and forth now, and
it's definitely different.
It's not a round table anymore. It's more of a back and forth.
I guess it's more of the Sabre, just dinner table.
Pretty much, yeah.
I just the next 60 minutes we're here, I'm just gonna be gazing into your eyes.
It's the dinner table of a couple that's about to get divorced. But Sabres did play 2 games, and I'm so glad Sabres hockey is back, man. It feels good to be back.
It feels good. We're back in the swing of things. Half the time we want to shoot our brains out because just dumb stuff happening. And
oh, believe me, watching those 2 games, I was pretty close.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Not the way we wanted to start the season, 0-2, but I with trying to rationalize the whole thing, it's more of like, we played arguably if you were to pick a list of the top 3 goalies in the entire league, a good portion will both have Shesterkin and Sorokin on those lists.
I would argue a lot of them have them as the top 2.
Yeah. And goals do come at a premium against them, and they got kicked in the teeth against the Rangers, but I did like the effort on the island, but another controversial 3-2 loss. Never ends, right?
It's getting a bit of deja vu there, gotta say.
Yeah.
But, yep, the Sabres start their season 0-2. 2 regulation losses to 2 playoff opponents, really. They'll probably be battling with these teams for wild card spots. And not a great start.
No.
They drop opening night at home, 5-1 to the New York Rangers. And Saturday night, they lose on Long Island 3-2 in a tough bout.
Yeah, it was a little disappointing because, it was the first sellout for a home opener in 4 years, with the team playing the way it was and COVID obviously having an impact on that. It would have been good to come out and, get that win at home, but I don't know. They didn't look like they were ready to go. And they got taken off guard by the way the Rangers played. Because, last season I didn't see them play the 1-3-1 that much.
No, that's got to be Laviolette.
Yeah.
New coach, new system.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I got to say, isn't that basically an admission that your team stinks?
It's definitely not an admission that you could get into a slugfest with a team.
At least in the regular season. If you're in the playoffs, that's another thing, because that is playoff hockey.
Mm-hmm.
That's how teams defend there. But 1-3-1 in the first game of the season.
Dude, it was I feel like I lost 2 games of Sabres hockey. I feel like we were back, but it's watching both of those games, I wanted to rip my hair out, and I wanted to scratch my eyeballs out watching that.
And it was off the opening draw. I think the Sabres won the opening draw, and I think Dahlin skates it back, and you just see the Rangers just get into it. And I was there at the game with JP, and we both just oh no,
we're oh,
here we go,
God.
60 minutes of this, because it's become a trend. The Sabres are not good against the trap.
Nope,
not very good at all.
No,
it's continued to frustrate them for as long as Granato has been head coach. How many times have they lost to John Tortorella's Flyers the last 2 years? Feels like every time it's a close game.
Yep.
Or they're losing.
You'd think it'd be something that would be addressed more often, because they seemed pretty taken aback by it when they first jumped out. I think they were, as was probably all of our fans and including myself. I thought we were going to come out and we were just going to fly down the ice. Transition would have been fantastic, but when you got 3 guys stacking the neutral zone like that, you can't really, make any passes in the neutral zone.
No, that's what it's there for.
Turnovers aplenty, and the dump and chase was not working at all. They could not get possession down low during the game. Anytime that they'd try and dump and chase, Rangers would get possession.
Or anytime they try to shoot the puck, there'd be a Ranger standing in the way.
Oh my God, dude, Jacob Trouba, dude. I was so close to like yelling like at my TV. Like I was just like,
get out of the way.
I've never seen more shots blocked in just like a series of plays, especially on that power play. I've never seen something like that.
They had like some of their star players laying out for shots though, that's weird. It's like when John Tortorella took over for the Canucks and he had like the Sedins blocking shots.
It's the first game of the season.
That's what I'm saying.
Doing that. Like I even texted you guys. I'm like, imagine like Trouba got hit in the face with a puck. Like could have really.
Well, that's his game, and I'm talking more like Zibanejad or even like Lafreniere. Like they're diving out to block these shots, and it's like obviously you love it. It's gonna get the guys on the bench all hyped up, but it could go south really quick.
Could cost you in the injury department.
But hey, you know what? They were the ones that came out on top. So who am I to say? They took a dump on my Rangers would miss the playoffs prediction pretty quick.
Yeah.
I ate my words with that one.
Well, I'm gonna call back to one of our old tweets. I'm kind of at a loss for words right now. I was really hoping to record early this week and be like, hey, we split, we lost in OT, we got to win. Because and I've said this 1,000 times before recording, before turning the mics on. I was just like, they need that first win off their back. They just need it. This team needs that first win. That'll get the engine started. They need to start the engine.
Yeah, it already feels like that. They're in a much different place 2 losses later than they were 5 days ago.
Yeah.
Like it feels like it feels like it's over. It feels like, you kind of have that. I mean, at least to some, like if you were to log on to Twitter and, read any Sabres comment section, it would kind of gives the impression that a lot of people think that this thing is over, or that, the Sabres didn't do enough in the offseason, or their star players are frauds or overpaid, the general overreactions that pro sports fan bases, tend to lean into after a few bad games.
After the first period, I was seeing stuff on Twitter like, oh, it's not looking good. It's like, this is same old Sabres. I'm like, bro, it's been 20 minutes of hockey. It's like, and you know what? I'll give them credit. Like, it's not like they lost to a bottom feeder. These are legitimate, like the Islanders, they've been consistently in the playoffs, as the Rangers have, and they've won playoff series very recently. These aren't like, it's not like
That's what they do. They're supposed to frustrate teams with the way they play.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like we came out against because usually I feel like we always start the season against the Canadians. It's not like we came against the Canadians and we just got punched in the mouth and lost 5-1. Then I'd be a little concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the way they played, especially against those systems, I mean, I'll give them some credit. I would have liked a win, especially on the island, but
I thought they were better last night.
They
though.
were. They were
definitely
better
came
last
out
night.
a bit better, at least collectively as a group.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you haven't seen much from the top 2 lines as of
No, that's kind of the thing. I guess to kind of summarize these 2 games with one line has really only stood out through these 2 games. And
and it has an 18-year-old and a deadline trade signee.
Did you know that Zach Benson is 18 years old?
It's crazy. We're
just gonna,
Nick Robertson.
We're going to do the Nick Robertson thing with him. Every time he does something, we're just going to say he's 18 years old.
He's 18 years old, ladies and gentlemen. No, but he looks great. He's got 2 points.
Leads the team?
Yeah, you're
Leads
right.
the team.
Isn't that crazy?
That is something.
I would have never guessed if when we drafted him, it'd been like, hey.
In 5 months, he will be leading them in points.
After 2 games. Like, oh my God. But, I mean, I think we're kind of getting away from the true all-star of this team so far, Jordan Greenway. He's been fantastic for this team.
He's been, like...
My goodness.
We've been kind of backing him on here because
Mm-hmm.
obviously, very quickly, he became the fan base's, one of the whipping boys of the fan base pretty quickly.
Like a logjam.
Because when he first got here last year, he didn't look very good. But 2 things. He was playing in a very different system in Minnesota, much more akin to how the Islanders or Rangers played. And B, we found out later he was hurt, so he wasn't at 100%.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he wasn't playing good, but obviously those were the contributing factors going in, and whoop-de-doo. You give him a training camp under Granato, you place him in a role that suits him, and my God, all of a sudden he's scoring backhand toe drags.
All I'm saying is you have your third line. You have your third line.
You have your third line.
This is your third line, and that's a good thing to find out.
And I think, obviously, the theme of this episode is that we all need to take a deep breath. Deep breaths. Everybody needs to take a deep breath.
Relax.
And look at the bigger picture that, okay, yes, there are problems. The Top Guns have gone pretty much radio silent these first 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
But this third line is something that the Sabres have not had in a long time.
Yes.
Like, you've had your forechecking lines, okay? You had, I guess, the log line a few years ago. But, like,
classic.
I guess under Granato, all of last year, you basically had Krebs, Girgensons, Okpost. Like, that was your forechecking line, per se. But they're really not. They're your fourth line. They're meant to, I guess, slow things down, protect the lead when necessary. You didn't have a true forechecking line. You know, your first 2 lines on this team, when everybody's healthy, you know, your top line is going to be Skinner, Thompson, Tuck, and your second line is going to be the kid line. And, you know, that third line was kind of, it didn't have an identity for a while. It just kind of did what the first 2 lines did, but just worse.
It was a Scotch tape and paper mache line. It's like you'd throw whoever there and be like, hey, maybe this will work.
And when they would go up against these trap teams, you know, these past 2 games, they've had a line that's worked.
Mm-hmm.
The other games, not so much. And I think that's something, it's valuable that the Sabres have added almost a new dimension to their game. Middlestat, Greenway, and Benson, probably the 3 best forecheckers on the team. It's a line that's reliable against, at least in these games. You know, you want to see more from the top 2 lines, but the fact that they have this reliable option is, it's reassuring almost, and it's cool it's good to see that they've added this new sort of dynamic to their team.
Yeah, I just going up against the trap those 2 games, it is cool to see that line, you know, excel in a way. I mean, they had something the top 2 lines didn't have, points, except JJ Peterka, who scored opening night, the Sabres' first goal of the season in back-to-back seasons. Do you know who the other 2 players are, Jonah?
What do you mean? What do you mean the other 2 players?
There's 2 other players in Sabres history who have scored the first goal of Sabres season in 2 consecutive years back-to-back.
You're hitting me with the trivia. How recent?
I'll give you a hint. Both of them are recent.
Oh, okay. One was back-to-back. Oh, was Girgensons one?
Girgensons was one. 13-14, 14-15.
Okay.
And there's one more.
Was it before or after?
After.
After.
It's our trivia segment for all you that.
Was it Connor Sheary?
It was Connor Sheary, yeah. Connor Sheary and Zemgus Girgensons, and JJ Peterka follows a similar trend.
What an elite group of talent right there.
And I don't know if anyone, I wasn't in the building for the game. I know Jonah was, but it was cool to see, like, they kind of brought back what they did in the 90s after they scored a goal. They had RJ's voice over the loudspeaker.
Yeah, that was cool. I do want to, I guess, before we get to more of the team, I kind of want to jump into what they did opening night.
Yeah.
Obviously, the RJ Way unveiling, very cool, very good ceremony. It's a cool sign. It's right in front of the plaza. But even when you walked in there, you know, we were talking about a few episodes ago how the food appears different. It is. It's much better. The system for getting the food, much quicker, much easier. You're already seeing it. It's a big jump in improvement.
I know we're not a video podcast, but I'm currently drooling on the desk. So I'm going to be in the building on Tuesday, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of people out there that know this, but I'm a big food guy. All right.
And there was also some like interactive stuff during the games that you probably, I don't know if you maybe caught it on TV or not, but for example, like when he made a save, there was this quick zh sound. It was the sound of a lightsaber.
Oh, that's cool.
So they did that. And also when this one might be controversial because I know some people hate it. You know when the Colorado Avalanche kill a penalty and someone steps out of the box?
I was just about to bring
that up. And it's the
power-up
sound?
Yep.
So the Sabres now have that as well, but it's the Pokemon level up sound.
I like
it.
I think it's cool.
I like it. It's kind of like it's more personality. They're clearly trying. They're trying to make it more, I guess, interactive, more appealing. I know it's not for everybody, so I understand if some people don't like it. I know like there's been people that don't like the what the Avalanche do when they're killing a penalty because it tells the other team that this guy's stepping out of the box.
Yeah,
things like that.
No, I like it.
But I like it. I like the effort.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah,
it's good for the kids.
What else was I gonna bring up?
Do we want to touch on Levi?
Yeah, we'll talk about Levi. I will say it's weird because obviously he's not like show stopping. It's expected. He's 20 years old. He's not going to be a Shesterkin or a Sorokin yet. But I don't think he's played bad by any stretch. He hasn't let in a soft goal. I mean, not that I can remember. I mean, there was a couple of them where he was down and out.
I thought maybe he could have had the Panarin one.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's Artemi Panarin.
They had a tip and goal, like a redirection in front.
And there was nobody covering him, so he's been okay.
Yeah.
He's been okay, which is, I guess you wouldn't want that, right?
But he's been consistent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a small
two
sample
games.
size.
Very small.
I like to see that it's not like, we're 10 minutes into the first period and you're just like, oh my God, this UPL is he's already breaking down. He let in a softie, or oh my God, Eric Comrie. It's like this and that. I feel like Levi brings a sense of security to the net as of right now. Again, only 2 games in, but that's what I'm getting from this.
Looking at evolving hockey through 2 games, he's negative .94 goal save above expected. So not good. Just below break even. Obviously, you want more.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, you can say he's 21, yada yada yada. But he is your starting goalie. You need more. You do need more from Devin Levi. You want him to be in the positives. You want him to be stealing games somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
You want good goaltending. But it's nothing. They haven't lost these 2 games because of him.
No, absolutely not.
There are 4 or 5 reasons before him. But yes, you do want to expect more.
Yeah, team defense needs to be better. It's the same storyline.
If you look at the numbers, their expected goal against middle of the pack right now.
Okay.
So that's all you can really ask for. I mean, like the Rangers game, like some of it, like that was bad. But even if you look at the goals from last night, I mean, the first one you could argue like Clifton got tripped up, and then it turned into a 2-on-1. The third one, just like a point shot that somehow got in. These aren't like clear cut things. They haven't had those breakdowns yet. Now they are playing 2 lower event teams, especially the Islanders.
Yeah.
So, they've got a bigger test this week against better offenses in Tampa and Calgary. So we'll see how this keeps going. But through 2 games, like I don't even think their defense has been the issue. I think we all know what the issue is, okay? Go to Cap Friendly, look at the highest paid players on the Sabres, and boom, there's your answer.
Yeah.
Because they haven't been anywhere.
No.
And I really hate to say that, but it's true. They're all pointless. They haven't really contributed. They haven't contributed anything. They've been shut down these past 2 games, and the Sabres' best players have been guys that played 12 minutes a night. Well, shouldn't even say that because they were playing a ton last night. I think Casey Middlestat averages the second most ice time on the team right now.
Behind Dahlin.
I should say second most forward.
Who's
only Skinner. Skinner averages more.
Okay. I mean, hey. It's a good thing.
It's good. He deserves it. They're playing.
He's playing
well. That line's playing well. You can't get mad at it. You can't get mad at that, but obviously you want your best players to be your best players.
Yeah. Another thing I'll mention, and this is more of just something I've noticed. They've been playing more physical, especially like in regards to last season. I've seen a lot more physicality out of the team. And now, listen, I'm not saying that is a major reason for for how wins and losses go in regards to the Sabres. All I'm saying is it is cool to see them, maybe win a puck battle or 2 more, throwing the body around a little bit, and it's fun. It's fun to watch. I like a little physicality in hockey.
Yeah, I like when Dahlin sends guys flying with a hip check.
That's so much fun to watch, especially if you're in the stadium or the arena, and it's a full building and everyone goes crazy. That's fun.
I'm more so glad that they are hitting more. That way, people can't point to it as an excuse.
Yeah, right. It's like we're not winning because we're not hitting enough.
People have shifted from that. They've been shifting from the hitting to now it's the face-offs. Now the face-offs are the problem.
It's never gonna end.
It's never gonna end. You're never gonna find the old the crowd of people that they look at that stuff instead of maybe the more important, in my opinion.
You want to talk about some other individual players? Because I got one on the mind right now.
I'm listening.
Well, we're gonna talk about a guy who we're not really sure what he does around here. And he's currently slotted on the Sabre second line, and that is number 71, Victor Olofsson.
Before we get into anything, I do want to say that I'm happy we're having this conversation because it would be very different if JP was here.
Yeah.
I don't think there would not even be a coherent thought. It would just be insults thrown out.
You're like, are you kidding me?
Over the course of multiple minutes, JP wouldn't even provide anything other than just lip service. That's all he would do.
Man, I saw but going back to Victor Olofsson, I saw one of his advanced analytic ice maps. It's not a heat wave map or anything. It's just it has a couple of little key for shot attempt, shot blocked, all that. In the Islanders game, he only had 4 markers through the entire game, and it was 2 blocked shots, a hit given, and a hit taken. That's the only thing he contributed to the team against the Islanders. I have to say, he's useless in the transition. He's very one-dimensional, as we've stated before, and he's not even playing on the power play. If he's not going to be on the power play and he's not in the rock star zone, why is he taking up a roster spot? I was going to get to the rosters too, but I don't see justification for him playing. He's just not doing anything.
Victor Olofsson is a complicated figure because obviously he's been here for 5 years now? 5 years. And obviously his play style, or at least, the fact he's a sniper, one of the best shots in the league, and he's been a familiar face for the Sabres since this rebuild started. He's one of those guys that people probably latched onto when stuff was going down a few years ago, and it stinks because he has become that recognizable face, but it's gotten to a point where they just can't justify it anymore.
He needs a fresh start somewhere.
It's not even yeah, I mean, if I could press a button and he goes, yeah, I would, but they've clearly they've explored that before. We know they have, and teams see this. They see this. This is what he provides, and there's a lot of things that he doesn't do. He does one thing, and he does it well when he wants to, because he doesn't even do it well sometimes, it feels like.
Very hot and cold.
And, I think there's teams that could get use out of him. I don't want to say Victor Olofsson is a useless player.
No.
He is a useful player if you know how to use him. But he's too redundant on the Sabres. He's a skill set they don't require. They can score. Obviously this season, that remains to be seen, but this team can score.
Yeah.
And they don't need just that. They need more. Last season, down the stretch, when he was getting scratched, he was probably the Sabres' worst forward at the time. And probably the only forward you could say was worse at the time, I suppose, was Jordan Greenway, a hurt Jordan Greenway. But the difference between those two is okay, let's say they're on the same level. Let's say a hurt Jordan Greenway and Victor Olofsson down the stretch from last season. Let's say they're on the same level. Well, you're going to play Greenway because at least he provides a different dimension. Okay, he's going to give you more on defense. He's going to give you more on the forecheck. There is a role he can play. What can Victor Olofsson do that, I don't know, what can he do that Casey Middlestat can't do? Or J.J. Peterka can't do? There's really not anything.
No.
So it comes down to how much do you really value that one dimension? Is this a team that requires it? I mean, right now, maybe you could make the argument, yeah, I get it. They're not scoring right now, but it's 2 games, and the goals are going to come. But this has become a repeat thing. And he's 27 years old. He's not going to develop anymore. He is what he is. We know what he is. Okay, he is a mostly power play specialist. He's not going to give you anything on 5-on-5. He's not going to give you anything in transition. He's not a great forechecker. You feed him the puck in the slot, and he scores. But a team that has more than enough of that, and a team that is a transition team, and a roster that is full of guys that can do what he does and more, he's just become an anchor. And especially because you're not sheltering him. Like, he's not on the 4th line here.
No.
He's playing with Dylan Cousins and JJ Peterka.
And
he's dragging Dylan Cousins down with him.
I was about to say, I don't think Dylan Cousins has played his best 2 games. He's been very below average the first 2 games, and I think Victor Olofsson might have a hand in that. Just because, like, again, they can't get anything going. And, I mean, also, I love Jeff Skinner, but I'm going to throw some shade at him too right now. Last night, one of those Islanders goals was somewhat contributed to what he did. He was on the wall in the defensive zone. They tried a breakout pass. He either missed the pass, fumbled the pass, or he just didn't do anything, and he just kind of skated around, and then the Islanders flipped possession on us and then went down and scored. So I was just like my mind was just like, I was just looking at the TV with like a blank stare. I was like, what? Like, Jeff, like, what are you doing? He was just standing there menacingly. Maybe not menacingly, but circling back to Victor Olofsson, it's just, we've seen this song and dance too many times. I think it's really time to start looking at your other options. My recommendation would be you slide Krebs up to the second line wing, and then you slide Jostin to the center role. And I think that'd be perfect. And then with the defensive pairs, I don't think you shake it up yet, but if you do want to shake it up, I want to see Dahlin and Yoki together, because I hear that's been, that's worked out in the past, and I think we might want to either slide Samuelsson down, maybe play him with Clifton, or I kind of want to see a little bit of Ryan Johnson too. I really think he could be one of the better defensemen on this team.
I think he could, but they're not.
I know they're not.
It's another one of those, like, we're 2 games in. We need to take a deep breath. Yes, Clifton he doesn't look good in the preseason. He didn't look good in the one preseason game he played. And then I thought he was fine against the Rangers, but obviously he was rough last night versus the Islanders. I don't know. Like, this is the thing, okay? This team started 7-3 last year. And we thought, oh, things are going great. We're heading into November. We're in a playoff spot. We're rolling. Then they lost 8 straight in regulation.
8 in a row.
And that was what? Towards pretty close to Thanksgiving?
Mm-hmm.
Probably before then. So halfway through November, this team is 7-11. They're coming off of 8 straight regulation losses. And what do you think the vibe was? It was over. Okay, I remember recording an episode in your apartment. It was after we lost to the Leafs. We're 8 straight, and we're just all like we were like I like to think we're rational Sabres fans. I really do.
Cautiously optimistic.
But I remember that episode, and we were like they might have to, like, they're gonna have to trade people, like, not core players, but they got to move pieces here. And
it's just that,
we were wrong, because guess what? You got to let it develop.
Yeah.
Okay, it's an 82 game season. This thing takes place over the course of 7 months.
It's that mentality you have when you've just been like a franchise that's been kicked too much. You're just like, you get that first taste of like, oh my God, we might do it, and then it starts to unravel, and you're like, oh my God, like, we got to do something, we got to move something, we got to pull this thing together, we got to tie it up, we got to go. We can't let this slip away again. And then when you do that, it just slips away even further. You don't want to get too irrational right now, and I'm speaking for myself because I've had my moments, but I've cooled down. And I've taken a deep breath, and I'm like, there's still 80 games of hockey left. And you know what? I really think they could do – I'm confident in them on Tuesday night. I think they'll pick up their first win. Don't quote me on that, because I probably end up eating my words just because I said that. But yeah, it's like just everyone needs to relax. It's a long season. Teams are splitting games right now. The Penguins have a loss. I know there's a couple other teams who have lost 2 games, and
The Oilers are 0-2.
the Oilers are 0-2.
The Panthers are 0-2.
Cup contender. Like it's
We're 2
just
games
chill.
in.
Just
We're
chill.
2 games in, and if you get so wrapped up in if you're a fan that watches every game, you're a diehard fan. But if you get emotionally wrapped up in every single game, you're gonna be mentally exhausted.
I'm already mentally
in 3
exhausted.
weeks. But those people that just I get it. There's so much hype coming into this season, so much anticipation. The building is rocking. Last Thursday, they give out the tribute to RJ, and things just seem so good. And you're ready for the season to kick off. And then they lay 2 eggs, or at least they lay an egg, and then they lose a really hard-fought game.
Close game.
Because the Islanders game is almost worse. Almost.
Oh yeah.
If the Rangers game wasn't opening night, it would just be a stinker loss. But it's because of where it was, you're just kind of well, that's deflating.
Yeah.
And it's like the Steelers game, or the Bills home opener a few years ago when they lost to the Steelers. There's so much hype going into that season, and they lose to the friggin' Steelers.
Lay an egg, yeah.
And it's then they go and follow up, play another frustrating team like the Islanders, and they lose a toss-up on a controversial goal. It sucks. It's 2 sucky losses.
I was hoping that game would go to OT. That was everyone really hurt after watching the end of the game, because I knew after they had that 3rd goal, which I kind of thought you could have made a case for high sticking, but it was so close you're not going to overturn it. The offsides challenge, I wouldn't have done it personally, because again, it's so close, and you're just maybe you're just kind of let me just throw something out there, see if it sticks at that point.
6 minutes left in the game.
And you know what team you're playing.
Yeah.
You're getting goals at a premium here.
And
it's
your top guns aren't exactly feeling it.
No.
I don't hate that from Donnie.
No, me neither.
There is some stuff I don't like that I think we can get into, but for the most part, it is what it is. You just need to chillax.
Enjoy the start of the season.
Enjoy.
Everyone relax.
I get it, okay? It's a crazy start to the season, and you want things to go well.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going well. Give it time. If this team is, I don't know, come Thanksgiving, and they're 5 games under 500, okay, then there's a problem. There's something going on here. I don't know, Levi's not ready, or the top guns are having a terrible start to the season. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We're not there yet. We're 2 games in.
See.
The season didn't even start a week ago. It wasn't even going. We're 2 games in.
Yeah. Sabres rattling in the basement around Thanksgiving. I've heard that before.
Yeah,
Turn it
times.
around. You could turn
Many
it
times.
around.
Many times.
But
I think the case also to be made is, how many seasons have we started off red hot?
Yeah. Come on.
I mean, what? Last year, like I said, 7-3.
Red hot.
The year before, we started off 3-0 in October. The year before that, COVID season, I guess.
Whatever.
50th year before
anniversary
that,
season.
they were 9-1 under Kruger to start. Then that fell apart. Season before,
10-game win streak.
we were 17-6 going into December. That fell apart. So
it's guys, it's fine.
I think
this could be good for us.
This could be good. This team, maybe this team.
We're coping hard right now.
I know, but the 8-game losing streak last year. Okay, that was a turning point. There's multiple turning points within the season, right? Later in the season last year, the team was spiraling out of control. The goaltending was awful. We thought they were out of the race.
Yep.
Then Devin Levi comes in, boom, switch was flipped. That was a turning point in the season.
We almost got there.
But even going back to fall of last year, they lose those 8 straight games. It just reached a breaking point. The team was playing so bad they could only go up. And then they flipped that switch. And funny enough, it was when they wore the goat heads for the first time. And boom. Switch was flipped. They were rolling. And they got back into the race.
Guys, the car here, it's you're not driving you're not driving a brand new car. You're driving off the lot here, man. It's if I want to make this analogy, it's there's gonna be times this car stalls out on you, and it's gonna happen. It's an old beat up car, and I go for most teams in the league, but I think especially this season, I mean, if they could get the engine going, especially to get that first win off their backs, if they could just get the engine started, and they can just start chugging along here, I feel like the wins are they're gonna carry over. We're gonna string a few wins together here, and I think we're gonna be okay. But I will bet my life on this that at some point in this season, we're going to be sitting here having this same conversation. There's going to be a point where we drop 3 in a row, or, we lose 2, and then we lose an OT and lose another 1 here. It's like it's going to happen again. But you can't let it get to you. You just got to, you got to mentally reset, and you need to look towards the next game.
Here's a question. How many points did Tage Thompson finish with last year?
92?
It was 92, 93. Doesn't matter. Through 7 games last season.
The first 7 games?
First 7 games of last season. He had 1 goal, 2 assists. He had 3 points in 7 games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Oh, my God. They just paid him the big bucks, 7x7. People were already crapping on it. Then he has that slow start. And then you know what he does? He goes and scores 6 points against the Red Wings.
Crazy.
And then, boom, he was off.
That's it.
There's your turning point.
You just need that one flip.
The switch was flipped, and boom, he was off. Yeah. So, this is the theme. Like we said, the theme of the episode. Deep breaths.
Inhale, exhale.
Deep breaths. Deep breaths, everybody.
It is not time to go on a bank run here, guys. It's not time. We're not spiraling.
It's not panicking.
It's 2 games.
I know. Is it bad? I feel like it's better. Like, if your top guns aren't being your top guns, I feel like that's almost better, because hold on.
I'll hear him out.
I mean, in the sense that, like, okay, let's compare, like, I don't know, the Eichel Sabres to, like, right now.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather have your depth be non-existent, and there's nothing you can do about that? Or would you rather have, like, your top guys, okay, they're silent, they're kind of quiet through these first few games, but, like, I feel fine. If that's your biggest problem, like, I have confidence in these guys.
They'll turn it around.
They have the track record.
And the depth is there.
Now.
But if you flip it to the other side, when Eichel was here and playing, you had the top line, you had a makeshift second line, and then it was nothing. It was Zemgus Girgensons and Poso down there.
It's not a good thing, obviously.
No.
You want Tage Thompson and Alex Tuch, Jeff Skinner, Dylan Cousins. You want them to be scoring.
And I think everyone out there, if I'm speaking for just myself and everyone, I think the fans, they're hungry for, those, they just want goals. Like, and I don't blame them. I do too. And if you're starting the season off against the Rangers and the Islanders, I kind of expected goals to come at a premium. But it is frustrating, and I could see how that frustration can boil over to, Twitter or wherever you get your news. But the goals will come. That I promise you. The goals will come. This team finished 3rd in offense last year. It's there. It's been proven, and the top guys are going to figure it out. What to do with Victor Olofsson, though, is to be determined.
I mean, if you were to tell yourself a week ago, like when we recorded this last pod, if we were like, okay, they're going to lose these first 2 games. They're going to be frustrated by the trap. They're not going to be able to get much on Sorokin and Shesterkin, and their top guns are going to be shut down. Like, would we have freaked out? We would have been like, oh, that's deflating.
Yeah.
Would we have been like, that's it? Like, this team isn't good enough.
JP would have freaked out.
Probably. Well, if we would have said Victor Olofsson would be radio silent, he would have been like, yeah, that's expected.
Sounds about right.
And then he would throw a couple more nasty remarks in there.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think the Sabres see the trap from the Lightning on Tuesday? I mean, if you're a team watching film and you're just like, man, they
see, but here's the thing. Like, the Rangers and the Islanders, they have good cores. Like, I don't know. I don't think Tampa is, like, yeah, they got Hedman, Sergachev, Chernak. But other than that, it's not, they don't have a roster that scares me anymore. I don't know. Do they see the 1-3-1 on Tuesday? Maybe. That'd be something. Can you imagine if every team in the NHL played the 1-3-1 against the Sabres? They might be a lottery team.
Yeah.
Like, perennial.
Oh, God. I don't even want to think of it. But not every team is built like to even play that style.
No,
so
I don't
it can't happen.
Yeah. Hopefully they don't see it.
I could see it. I could see maybe a couple more teams just being like, hey, maybe we'll try this out. But it's not going to be every night.
No.
And especially if you're in an off season and you're working on a system, not everyone's going to go 1-3-1. That's your coaching right there. Laviolette, he's been around forever. Who's the head? Is Barry Trotz still the head coach?
Isn't it Lambert? That's who they hired after.
Either way, looks like he went to the school of Barry Trotz hockey because same thing.
I think he was his assistant.
Yeah. John Cooper, not known to play the 1-3-1.
Oh my God.
What?
We play the Islanders next Saturday.
I know we do.
Oh my God.
We play them again.
I was just looking at the schedule.
We play the Islanders, we play Calgary, Montreal, and Tampa. So I'm hoping to get 3 out of 4
Okay.
there.
Well, yeah, you know what, I guess, before we get to the schedule, okay, there's one more thing I want to touch on. And it was something that I sent multiple tweets about. The power play. The power play.
This is a big one.
The power play. Oh man. It looked so I'll hesitate to say it looked so good in preseason, but it looked so much better. It looked like they were spicing things up. They looked like they were forcing pucks to the middle. Whether it was the right decision or not, it seems like the mentality was, hey, get the puck to the middle of the ice, use the bumper, and go from there. And we saw that. Jeff Skinner's goal against Boston. Okay, Zach Benson dishes it across from the bumper. Goal. How about Jeff Skinner's one goal against Columbus? They try to force the puck to the middle of the ice. Wasn't a clean pass, but Benson pokes it. Skinner buries one. How about Zach Benson's game-winning goal versus Columbus? They get it to Kyle Okposo down low. He goes through the legs. Benson's there for the rebound. Goal. It looked so much better. So much better. And then Don Granato decided to reunite the top unit. And then we saw what they did the last 2 games. And it is the exact same setup from last year.
All perimeter.
3 guys are touching the puck up top. And, oh my God, I'll say it again. Jeff Skinner, my man, I love you. Stay in the bumper position, please. Please. We sent out that picture.
He was down at the goal
He's
line.
in the rock star zone asking for a one-timer. I didn't send out the clip after. They gave him the puck. He shot it. It was a one-timer. It went off the side of the nets.
Not even close.
Jeff, buddy, I love you, but if you want one-timers on that side, talk to your coach. Talk to him. Say that's where you want to play. Because I've seen Dylan Cousins play the bumper. That would be an easy switch. I would be willing to see that. If you just switched Cousins and Skinner, that works. Cousins can play the bumper.
Yeah.
And I'll say this right now. I don't think Dylan Cousins is a good fit on that right flank. He doesn't. He'll either go for the shot, or him and Rasmus Dahlin. I don't know. They must be best buddies because that's the only guy Dylan Cousins will pass the puck to on the power play. That's it. He doesn't even try to look for Tage Thompson on the other. He doesn't do cross ice passes. And I don't know. I just don't think he looks comfortable there a lot of the time. There was points last season. Remember when Kyle Okposo was on that flank?
Mm-hmm.
I would prefer that. Honest to God, I would prefer Okposo on that side because there were goals last year where Okposo, he can get it through the middle of the ice on that side. He's a smart enough player, and he's still got a decent shot in this point in his career. Now, I'm not saying throw Kyle Okposo on the top unit, but I'm using him as a comparison that I don't think Cousins is a good fit there. Not yet. Because he doesn't... It's either... Dylan Cousins does 3 things on the power play on that side. 1, he goes for the shot, and it either gets through or it gets blocked, and it gets blocked a lot. Number 2, he passes it to Jeff Skinner down low, who shouldn't even freaking be there. He should be in the bumper.
Mm-hmm.
Or 3, he does the behind the back to Dahlin up top, and then Dahlin tries to give it back to Tage. That's it. He doesn't... There's no deception there. He doesn't try to open up the bumper slot for a pass. There's nothing. There's no, creativity. And it really boggles my mind that at one point last season, all 5 of these players were point per game. So you have 5 basically all-star caliber players on that team. And it's amazing that as soon as the Sabres go up a man, the most, 5 creative players on the roster turn into, they turn into Islanders. They're boring. They make boring plays. They go for one thing. They go with a setup. They go to give Tage a one-timer and go from there.
He hasn't gotten a one-timer.
I know. Because they're not, like, teams know. Like, they're not surprising anyone anymore.
No.
They've been shadowing Tage for God knows how long, and they can't find any creative ways to get him open.
And that's what the bumper will do. If you put, and I think, listen, again, early in the season, but like we saw it in preseason, why not try Zach Benson out in there? Just you don't have to, you can run him on the second unit. You don't have to run him on the first. But all I'm saying is that bumper spot playing the middle of the ice is going to open Tage up because you're going to have to pull a man away from just, playing man coverage on Tage because all you do is pass to the top three guys the whole time. So you're going to have a guy in the middle. It's going to pull that guy over, and then maybe you pass back to the D, over to Tage, shoot the puck. But, again, you're right. Has not yet to be seen, and the creativity is lacking.
And what I'll also say is I'm getting mad about this. This is the first time I'm getting mad all episode because everything we've talked about to this point has been small sample sizes. It's been a 2-game sample over stuff we've only just seen. These 5, they've played together for the last,
2 years at least.
I mean, well, I wouldn't say that. It was mostly last season. I mean, Cousins didn't start on that flank. So let's say Cousins got there. I think he got there like November-ish. So that's like, you have like a 65-game sample size of this unit being together. And it's the same stuff. Like, you have a big enough sample to know that this is what these 5 do together. Something's got to change. I don't know what, but something has to change because I cannot stand one of the best goal-scoring teams in hockey going on the man advantage and not knowing how to score, or at least not knowing how to find the right ways to score. Like, it's just all one-timers.
Seems confusion out there. It's like, they just don't know what to do.
It feels like they either only score in a Tage one-timer or they score off the rush on the power play, which is not how you want to score on the power play. It'll work, but I don't know. Something's got to give.
More consistent.
Something's got to give. It just frustrates me, and man, I just hate the way Jeff Skinner plays the bumper on the power play.
It's not much of a bumper. He's kind of all over the place.
No, and like there's nobody, like you watch a power play and there's nobody in the middle of the ice.
Nope.
So it's something they got to fix, and that's like my main gripe. Honestly, I've thought that the penalty kill's been fine. I look like that goal, like Chris Kreider's goal, the tip in, that was bad. But that was like a miscommunication. Like 3 Sabres went at the defense at Fox at the point. Like that's not their system. They just went. I think otherwise it's looked pretty much fine. So
I do like Eric Johnson back there.
Yeah, I think he's looked solid. I think Clifton's been fine on the PK, and I don't know, like their options are better now. Like instead of Yoki Haru and Bryson being out there, that's who you have.
Yeah.
So just please figure out the power play. Please figure it out.
We'll see on Tuesday.
I guess we will. We will see.
If they call a penalty.
Yep.
They didn't really call much on us. They didn't really give us an opportunity to get a power play last night.
No.
It was either like 30 seconds coming off a 4-on-4 or there was 20 seconds left in the game.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's look ahead now.
Okay.
So next time we record will probably be next Sunday. Maybe we'll do it after Monday night's game. Maybe. I don't know. But let's break this next stretch into 4 games, considering it's a 4-game homestand. So your next 4 games, all at home, are Tampa Bay, Calgary, the Islanders again, and Montreal. What does a successful homestand look like?
3 games, 1.
3-1?
3-1 or 2-1-1.
And like, what would you ideally? Who would you ideally lose to?
Ideally, it would probably, if you want an ideal situation, I would probably rather lose to Calgary just based on tie-breaking implications. But I'd really like to. Nothing in this world would make me happier than the Islanders coming to Buffalo and we smack them in the mouth as hard as we can. Nothing would bring me more joy on a random weeknight in the middle of October in Buffalo, New York, than to watch the Buffalo Sabres beat down the New York Islanders so bad because I'm so fed. And you know what? They're winning. They're winning in my own head, Jonah. In my own head, they're winning because every single, and I said this last year on the podcast, every single time I watch them, it's so boring to watch. They're stale. It's terrible hockey to watch. And they win games doing it. And I hate it so much because we can't seem to figure out to put the puck in the net against this team. In the Ryan Miller game last year, that was one of my favorite moments of the year. In overtime.
They still only scored 3 goals that game.
Still only scored 3 goals.
2 in regulation.
And we were down most of the game.
I know. It's every game with this team.
But yeah, ideally, if we were going to lose one of those games, it'd be to Calgary, just based off tiebreakers. But a successful homestand for the Sabres, 3-0, 3-0, or 3-1, or 2-1-1. If we split, okay, fine, not what I wanted. If we're under 500, oh man,
yeah,
I don't know.
1
and 3 doesn't look good.
1, 2, and 1. I don't know, because here's who's after you. Okay, you got Ottawa in Ottawa, New Jersey in New Jersey, home against Colorado. 2 games against Philly, who you might think, oh, that'll be easy, but then you remember that the Flyers run the 1-3-1.
This is John Tortorella's.
And they always give us hell.
Flyers.
And then you play Toronto, and then you play Carolina.
Oh my God, this is
It is not. It starts to lighten up early November-ish. Like, okay, you play. So after Carolina, you've got Minnesota, then Pittsburgh. So they're kind of like on your level. And then you got Boston. So same thing there. But then you got Winnipeg. Then you got Chicago, Washington. It starts to lighten up a bit.
Are you implying that the Senators aren't on our level?
No, I'm implying that they're good.
No, yeah,
that'll
they are
be a
good.
tough game.
It'll be a tough game, but yeah, it's quite a gauntlet to start the year.
Yes.
Of course, we have to play in the loaded Eastern Conference. If we played in the Western Conference, we would have made the playoffs the bubble year. I bet you we would have made the playoffs the bubble year.
Man.
And I bet you we would have maybe made the playoffs in 18-19. Maybe.
Oh, man, those are some takes.
And last season, yes.
Yeah, well, last season.
Season, yes.
That's pretty obvious. Yes. Yes.
It's no joke of a schedule. And you know what? If we can come out, what is that, the first 15 games of the season? If we can come out above 500, perfectly okay with that.
Hey, how many times did we think we were legit out of it last year?
So many.
How many times?
It was over and we were back so many times.
I mean, I just want to pull up the schedule because I could probably tell you the exact games where we all thought, okay, we're done.
Let's
start with the Islanders game. Like we thought we were done.
Yeah.
Everybody thought it was done then because then they started losing a ton. Where is that game? So you lose. So they lost to the Islanders. Do you remember what the next game was?
Was it the Islanders game Hudson Fasching had that goal? Oh,
yes.
Wasn't the next game against Nashville?
It was against Dallas.
Oh, it was the 10-4 Dallas game?
Yes.
Oh,
yep.
no.
And then they lost to the Rangers in overtime. Then they beat the Leafs. I remember that game.
Mm-hmm.
Then they lost their next 4. 3 of which in regulation.
Mm.
And then we're like, okay, it's done. But then they beat New Jersey and the Islanders. Lose to Montreal in a shootout.
Oh,
then Devin Levi comes to town. You win in overtime. You beat Philadelphia. And you're like, okay, we got a chance.
We're back.
Because then the next game was Florida. That game. And then they lost that game. And you're like, okay, it's over. It's over. Then they rattle off 3 straight, including the thriller against Carolina. And then they won in the shootout versus New York. And like, okay, we got a chance. And then obviously New Jersey. Then it was finally done.
That was the
But
nail
look
in
at the
coffin.
ups and downs. That was like 2 to 3 weeks.
Dude, it was a roller
It was
coaster.
a roller coaster.
I wish someone out there listening to this podcast would go back to our old episodes and just make like a small compilation of the amount of times we were like, it's done, it's over. And then it's like, we have a chance. We're back. We're back. And it's like, damn, we just lost to Florida. It's definitely over now. It's like, we just beat New York in a shootout. We're still alive. And then, we could leave the part about the last Devils game out. But it's a long, to summarize this, it's such a long season. Do not let 2 games define it. Don't let the next 4 games define it. Like, if you start out slow, It happens. But you know what? Good teams will find a way to win when it matters.
And I'll say this, I think it was Chad Dinominesis who tweeted this out. The Devils lost their first 2 games in regulation last year to Philly and the Red Wings.
Yeah.
I saw a tweet after Chicago beat Pittsburgh, and I think I went to the Pittsburgh, their team's mentions just for fun. And one of the comments was the 2016 Penguins, so 2015-16, they lost their first 3 in regulation. So
it happens.
It happens. I mean, how many times? We were saying this last year. I remember during the 8-game losing streak. The 05-06 Sabres were 500 through the first month?
Rattling in the basement.
Yeah, and the Sens, they lost 10-5 to the Sens the one game at home.
Yeah.
So it's not a linear path.
Not at all.
There's going to be ups and downs, and
you start on a down, people overreact because they haven't seen a win in a while.
Yeah.
And that's just because, it's been a long off season.
Stick with the team. This isn't like they don't have huge gaping issues.
No.
Like I was saying, it's basically yes, the top guns not being the top guns, that's a problem. But that's
that should fix itself.
Do you not have faith in the top guns?
Exactly.
I expect them to rebound.
Yeah.
And now you have other positives hey, Devin Levi, you want more out of him, but he hasn't lost you games. And the penalty kill, it's shown the penalty kill in team defense as a whole. Like I said, their expected goals against, it's kind of middle of the pack right now. So there's positives there.
An improvement from last year.
If they're probably not winning the Rangers game, but no matter what. But if the top 6 shows up last night against the Islanders and they win 4-3, then we're looking different.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it comes down to. They just need Tage Thompson to play like Tage Thompson. They need Rasmus Dahlin to play like Rasmus Dahlin. They need these guys to come in and take them far.
And guys, adversity will only benefit this team and this roster, especially with these guys at the age they're at. I mean, some of them have been around a little longer than others. Dahlin's been here since he was 18. He's still young, though. Adversity is only going to benefit this team, especially, in their development days, I guess you could say. So don't turn the channel just yet. Still got 80 games of hockey left. Don't unsubscribe from MSG. Don't turn your illegal pirated stream off. We're just getting started here, and we're down 2 games. You know what? We weren't expecting it, but it happened. Again, I said this before. You got to mentally reset. You got to put it out of your mind. It's over and done with. You look towards next game, and you're going to be playing in front of your home fans in the next week. Come out and give them a reason to come to your games.
Believe.
Exactly. Believe.
All right. I think that pretty much wraps up this episode. I think we've gone on long enough. I'm telling everybody to chill the hell out. So if you guys want to follow us on Twitter or Instagram, follow us at the Sabre Report. That's at the Sabre Report. If you want updates for the pod, follow us at Sabre Report Pod. Follow us on TikTok. Subscribe to us on YouTube. And I think that's basically it. We'll check you guys next time. Go Sabres.
Go Sabres.